Hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of digital capital will be stored by Bitcoin when it emerges as the store of value. Is what it's worth a lot. Why wouldn't every billionaire in the world go and buy $1 billion of Bitcoin, smash buy it overnight, and just to make $1 billion? Because why wouldn't they just want to make the $1 billion, $5 billion or $10 billion or any amount of money? I mean Bitcoin. It feels like in the early days, the infinite money glitch, right, that's going to continue aggressively for the next decade, and that is the Bitcoin gold rush. I mean, the reason that's the gold rush is because by 2035, 99% of the Bitcoin will have been minted. The price of Ethereum is likely to be sensitive to spot ETF inflows in the coming days as investors recall the lackluster demand for futures products. In late 2023, according to crypto analytics firm Cow, everyone is waiting with bated breath for the spot ETF debut. After last year's disappointing demand for the US-based Ethereum futures-based ETF, quick asset accumulation was mentioned. Because Cow has indices, according to a market research by Kai, published on July 22nd, even though we won't have a complete picture of demand for a few months, the price of AM could be very sensitive to the early quantities of inflows. The Ethereum Exchange-Traded Fund ETF was officially approved on July 22nd and is scheduled to start trading on July 23rd. Like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, the Grayscale Ethereum Trust gives institutional investors exposure to Ethereum but requires a 6-month lockup period on its shares. This is likely to have a major impact on price, as pointed out by Kai, when trading begins on July 23rd. Many investors will likely cash out their Ethereum shares because the conversion to a spot ETF will make buying and selling easier. The discount rate for EM's net asset value, while the spot Bitcoin ETF had a substantial impact on prices in the months following their launch, there is less confidence that the Ethereum ETF will be as popular as Bitcoin. The NAV has narrowed in the past few weeks, after widening between February and May when hopes of approval waned. This narrowing discount suggests that traders bought Ethereum below par and will redeem these shares in NAV upon conversion to realize profits. In a research report published on July 21st, market maker Wintermute predicted that the Ethereum Exchange-Traded Fund ETF will receive between $3.2 billion and $4 billion in the first year of trading. However, Wintermute also predicted that the Bitcoin ETF will receive about $32 billion in assets by the end of 2024. As a result, the total first-year inflows into the Ethereum ETF will be approximately 10% to 12% of spot Bitcoin ETF flows. The firm's prediction for the end of 2024 for the price of Ethereum is a growth of no more than 24%. Bitcoin is a digital capital, and so once you understand capital is a store of value, it's economic energy. If I can store capital in digital form and I can move it between any of billions of computers or any of millions of companies, if I can move it at any frequency, if I can program it using the most sophisticated servers of AIs, if AIs can trade Bitcoin with each other, with a billion AIs are trading with each other, they're not going to be trading buildings with each other. They're not going to be trading copper tokens or gold bars. They're not going to want to trade Apple or Amazon stock with each other. They're going to want to trade digital capital with each other. They're going to want to trade Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is, because it's digital and because it's digiflationary, it's got a half-life of forever, right? It's permanent immortal capital. So when you think of it that way, you think, well, what do I want to own? Well, I want to own person capital, perfect money, looking at it from a statistical perspective. Bitcoin has been outperforming the SP index by a factor of 4 to 5 over the past 4 years. The reason behind this volatility is that Bitcoin is a global capital market where anybody at any time can express any sentiment. The technical characteristics of Bitcoin also contribute to its high performance. So what will happen in 20 or 30 years? Once Bitcoin reaches its full potential, it will surpass all other currencies. Right now, Bitcoin is 5 times better than the next best thing. In 20 or 30 years, when Bitcoin reaches the size of the S&P 500, it might only be twice as excellent. However, since it's entirely digital, it will always be better. It lacks the liabilities associated with tangible assets like land or buildings, intangible cultural assets like artwork, and tangible corporate liabilities like equity, currency, and political risk associated with debt. You're buying Bitcoin, you're buying the best thing. When should you buy something else? What something else is better, you should buy something else, but there isn't anything better. There is anything better now. There won't be anything better in the future. So the logical trade is you keep trading the weaker thing to buy the stronger thing, and MicroStrategy's done it with hundreds of millions of cash with billions of dollars of equity. And with billions of dollars of debt, and we'll continue to acquire Bitcoin and we'll sell products to get cash for Bitcoin. Maybe we from time to time will sell some equity instrument or some security instrument. There's no reason to ever stop that strategy because Bitcoin's just going to continue to be the best thing. It's just a question of, is it 10 times better than the next best thing, or 5 times better, or 2 times better? But of course, don't really matter, right? The directional answer is the same regardless. The price of Ethereum is likely to be sensitive to spot ETF inflows in the coming days as investors recall the lackluster demand for futures products in late 2023. According to crypto analytics firm Cal, the launch of the futures-based Ethereum ETF in the US late last year saw underwhelming demand. Now all eyes are on the spot ETF launch, with high hopes for rapid asset accumulation stated having indices will help COAs, despite the fact that a complete picture of demand might not be available for a few months, according to a market research by Kai published on July 22nd. The price of could be quite sensitive to influx numbers in the first few days of B. The Ethereum Exchange Traded Fund ETF was officially approved on July 22nd and is scheduled to start trading on July 23rd. According to Kai, the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, which is comparable to the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust in that it gives institutional investors access to Ethereum but requires a 6-month lockup period on its shares, is likely to have a major influence on price. Many investors who bought Ethereum shares are likely to cash out once trading starts on July 23rd. The discount to net asset value (NAV) has narrowed in the past few weeks after widening between February and May when approval hopes waned. Traders bought Ethereum below par and will redeem these shares in NAV upon conversion to realize profits, while spot Bitcoin ETF significantly impacted prices in the months following their launch. There is less confidence that the Ethereum ETF will be as popular as Bitcoin. In a research report published on July 21st, market maker Winterm predicted that the Ethereum Exchange Traded Fund ETF would receive between $3.2 billion and $4 billion in their first year of operation. However, Wintermute believes that the ETF's demand will be lower than expected, coming in closer to $3.2 billion to $4 billion. By the end of 2024, Wintermute expects the Bitcoin ETF to generate about $32 billion in assets. As a result, total first-year inflows into the Ethereum ETF will be approximately 10% to 12% of spot Bitcoin ETF flows. The firm's prediction for the end of 2024 for the price of Ethereum is a growth of no more than 24%.